Before we start calling names and handing out degrees, I have the great pleasure of introducing your esteemed speaker. And I saw him this morning at the rehearsal graduation. I'm sorry, that was not right. But Doug Strickel is a proud member of the class of 1987. He began his journey at Tech like many of you did. He was guided by raw determination and a desire to maximize his own potential. In his early career, Doug was a CPA. I know you think speaker, CPA, this is going to be great. He was with Ernst & Young before spent over 3 decades with International Paper and became the regional general manager. Ultimately, Doug's career was defined by his impact in helping develop not just business strategies, but developing people. Thousands of employees and customers benefited from his leadership and employee engagement, leadership development, and building a culture where people thrive. He's now the founder of Strickel Leadership Development and author of People Are the Plan. Doug helps others do what he has done so well, and that's to lead with purpose. I believe he's the first commencement speaker to ever ask to be able to walk around and not stand behind the lectern. So I think you're about to see how Doug embodies one of the tenets of Tech, enthusiasm. Please join me in welcoming home a true bulldog, Mr. Doug Strickel. Doug.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson, and congratulations, class of 2025. Today is a day of celebration, recognition, and just stop and just pause for a moment about your accomplishments. But it's also a day of transition for all of you. Some of you are transitioning into the work world, workforce, and some are continuing with higher education and furthering your degree. Some are going to go into some type of service capacity. But it's a day of transition. And transition is just part of life. And this afternoon, I just want to share with you just 5 key life lessons that I think may help you navigate through that transition and future transitions. Now, before I do that, I just want to go back just quickly and say that it was almost 40 years ago, I was here at my spring commencement, my spring graduation. And I don't remember a lot about what went on that day, but I can tell you this. I know I would probably want the speaker to be impactful and be brief. So I'm going to do my very best to be impactful for everyone in this arena today so that you leave here with something different. You leave here changed in just a little way, if it's just one. But I will promise you this, it will be brief, okay? So let's get started. Life lesson number 1. First thing I think you need to remember is you need to know who you are. Know who you are. And I'm talking about identity. I'm talking about knowing who you are to the point. You know your convictions. You know your beliefs. You know what's important to you. You know what your passions are. Because if we don't know our own identity and create that and clarify that, someone else will. And quite frankly, when someone else does that for us, it's not healthy. Identity is a huge, huge issue, and we all need to start with a foundation of identity. You know, several years ago, I was going through a transition, and I was thinking through my identity and why it's so important. And identity matters so much because there's so much in life that we can't control, circumstances that we can't control. And a lot of the worries, stresses, and anxiety that are in our world today are because we're focusing on things we can't control. But identity and living out that identity is something that we can control. And I think you can have what I refer to as a plus day any day you live out your identity, regardless of the circumstances you encounter. And listen to me here. If you can start stacking plus days on top of one another, living out that identity with things you can control, you're creating a plus life for yourself, are you not? Plus days leading to a plus life. And I go back to that last transitionary time in my life when I was thinking through my identity. And then really 3 things came to mind when I was thinking through, what do I want to be living out? What do I want to be known for? What are my convictions and what are my passions I want to be sure that I invest the rest of my days, intentionally pursuing? There was 3 things came to mind. First was a follower of Jesus, foundation for my life. Everything flows through that, always has, always will. Second, a coach. Now, when I say coach, I'm talking about living each day with purposeful investment in others. helping individuals, teams, organizations reach their potential. That's what I try to do every day, personally as well as professionally. And thirdly, that identity that I want to live out and project goes back to my high school days, that of an athlete. You may say that's kind of hard at your age, Doug, to be an athlete, but really it's just about training, it's about nutrition, and it's also about competing. And let me just tell you this quick story, a very simple story with these life lessons. I've told you one already, know who you are. And there's so much to be said for these simple stories, because it was race day, and I was competing on this day, just a simple 5K race. The only thing different and unique about this race, this competition, was that my wife and daughter would also be in this race with me. And as I do every time I get there early, get to the starting area, the warm-up area, and I have to continue to remind myself to know who I am, know my identity, because I start looking around. I see all the 20-year-olds and the young 30-year-olds. These guys are fit, and they're runners, and they're looking really good. They've got their shirts off, and they have abs. Folks, I haven't seen an ab in years. I know it's there. It just needs to rise to the surface, but it's just not there. And it's so important for me to start realizing I'm not competing with those guys. If I were to compare myself to them and try to compete with them and not know my identity, I just go home. I wouldn't even try. I wouldn't measure up, nor could I keep up. I'm competing with the other old guys. These are the guys that get to the race early. Takes us longer to warm up, doesn't it, guys? These are the guys that have knee braces on. These are the guys that need to keep their shirts on, okay? These are the guys I'm competing with. And so I get to the start line there, and my daughter's there. Her name is Hope. I look over at Hope, and we're just seconds away from the race starting. I said, Hope, what's your plan? And she looked at me and said, win. I said, well, Hope, win's not a plan, and I'm trying to explain that, and the gun goes off. So we're off and running, and Hope and I are running together for what seemed probably about the first mile at a pretty good pace. All the guys with knee braces and shirts are either behind me or within striking distance in front of me. I'm feeling good about executing my plan. Now, my wife is also in the race. Her name is Pam, and she's running a little bit behind us because she's multitasking. See, she's running her pace, but she's also checking out all the architectural designs on the homes. She's counting the circle driveways. She's doing her thing. And so Hope and I are running together. We're doing okay. But when we get to 1 mile, Hope speeds up. She said, Dad, I've got to do better than this. And she says, bye. And she leaves me. And that's okay. She's, high school at the time. And so she leaves me. And I'm running along, executing my plan. And somewhere just before 2 miles, we get to a fork in the course. You go right is one down a hill. It looks like maybe to the finish line. But right now they're directing us left up a long hill. A long, steep hill. And I love hills because, see, hills don't take talent. They take determination. Hills slow down all you fast people with your shirts off, okay? Hills are my chance to catch up and to get ahead if I need to. And hills are a lot like adversity in life. Because, see, there's going to come a time when it's not going to matter how smart you are, how talented you are, how many connections you have. When adversity hits, all that's going to matter is grit, determination, and the foundation you're built on, quite frankly. And hills represent that. And hills are my favorite part of any race. And so I navigate through that hill, and as I'm going up the hill, I'm starting to pass a lot of those people that had passed me before. I'm even passing people with their shirts off, and it's feeling pretty good. And I'm hearing all kind of foul language, people talking about that hill in words I won't share today. And I get to the top, and it kind of plateaus off and then goes on a steady decline for quite a while. And then about almost probably a quarter mile at the end of the race, I come around a curve, and we circle back around, and now we're at that same fork in the road again. To the left is the hill, and to the right is around the corner to the finish line. I'm feeling pretty good. I think I've got a shot to win the old man division here. But I look off to my left, and there's my daughter. There's Hope. She's no longer running. So I stop, run over there, and check on her and say, hey, what's wrong? What's going on? She goes, I can't do it again. And she's a little sobbing, a little upset. I can't go up, and she points to that hill. See, where life lesson number 1 was know who you are, life lesson number 2 is don't be defeated by your past. Don't be defeated by your past. You see, Hope was looking at where she'd been, not where she's going. She was looking at the trouble, the difficulty, and the challenge that she'd already overcome. That's not where she was going. And how many of us are still, some of you already have faced adversity in life, to be honest. You've already faced some of those challenges. You know what I'm talking about. And we let a promising future be thrown off course by a painful past. Don't let the painful past impact your promising future. All she could see was where she'd been in the pain, and she couldn't see where we're supposed to be going. See, life lesson number 2 is don't be defeated by your past. And I explained to her, I said, we're not going up the hill again. We're going to the right, and I don't think the finish line's very far. And the moment she understood that, her whole demeanor changed, and she took off and left me a second time. And life lesson number 3 here is don't listen to every thought. Don't listen to every thought. Every thought in your mind is not true. See, her mind was telling her body couldn't do any more. Her mind was telling her, I can't. Yet when she understood a different pathway, she could. Two of my favorite verses in the Bible, Romans 12 and Philippians 4, those chapters. We'll just use chapters for now. They both talk about a renewing of the mind, of focusing on positive mindset, a mindset that lives and thinks above our current circumstances. The mindset is so important. Even now, I can get caught up in a negative mindset at times. When I was trying to publish my first book, I tried to go to these national publication syndicate, these people that do books like that on a national level. And they, Doug, we liked your book. It's good. It's got good content. But Doug, you've never done anything noteworthy outside of a small area. We don't think we can sell enough. And you hear that and you start having negative thoughts. Maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I shouldn't be starting a new career at my age. And these negative thoughts could come in. And I have to keep reminding myself. And you might want to try to talk to myself but not listen to myself. Words of affirmation. Because every thought that comes in our mind is not true. Everything we hear is not necessarily true. See, lesson number 3 is don't believe every thought. And when Hope understood that we weren't going up that hill, not only did she take off running fast, she was running with conviction to the finish line. See, life lesson number 4 is just keep moving. Just keep moving. If your future is uncertain, I get it. There's a lot of uncertainty in life. Some of you are sitting here today, there's some uncertainty. It's great today, but tomorrow is somewhat uncertain. That's okay. You don't have to have the full plan. You don't have to see the end of the path. Just keep taking the next step. And I'm going to tell you this, sometimes your next step is a step forward and you're making progress. Sometimes it's a sideways step. You feel like you're not getting anywhere, but just keep taking the step. Sometimes that next step may be backwards. The key is to keep engaging, keep moving. Very seldom do you think your way to clarity. Very seldom do you think your way to having a plan that actually works and achieves what you're looking for. You've got to take steps and just get moving and keep moving. See, life lesson number 4 is just keep moving. And as I watched her take off, you know what else I saw? I looked up and some of those old guys were rounding that corner about to finish the race. See, I could hear the music, and Hope could hear the music, but she wasn't listening to the music at the finish line. But I saw these old guys starting to finish the race, and I looked up and said, there's no way I can catch them now. And life lesson number 5, the last one, is sometimes in life, we have to sacrifice our goals for someone else. Sometimes in life, we need to sacrifice our goals for someone else. And that doesn't mean you don't need to be goal-oriented and achievement-focused and try to move ahead. But sometimes you've got to sacrifice your goals for someone else. And I'll tell you, it's a great feeling in the moment when you achieve a goal, when you achieve an ambition, when you get that promotion, when you get that recognition. That's awesome. But there's nothing, and I speak from an old guy telling you something advice, there's nothing more fulfilling than helping someone else achieve their goal. There's nothing more fulfilling than helping someone else move ahead in their life, achieve something important to them, and achieve their goal. 5 short life lessons in a simple story, just a simple race. I hope at least one of those you can identify with. 5 simple lessons. So one last challenge for you here. I told you I would keep it brief, but hopefully impactful. One last challenge. Class of 2025, as you graduate today, it's time. It's time for you to run your race. Thank you guys very much.
Doug, thank you for those words, inspiration. It's more inspiring this afternoon than this morning, legitimately. He not only defines enthusiasm, one of our tenets, he defines loyalty, our key, our foundation.